listen up. Okay, listen up. Okay, listen up. Okay, listen up. Okay, listen up. Okay.
Oh, nice day to get this done. Had to let it harden for a few days. It was raining and everything. I had to bring it in. Kind of miserable. But now I got the last coat. Well, actually, coats. Try to get 2 coats of I got some more props here too, so a couple more coats of heavy duty clear. This is why I don't use this tripod anymore. I was making a video years ago, and I have no idea why, but it just came apart. And the leg flipped up in the air, and I'm like, wow, that's kind of bizarre. I'm lucky nothing happened to the camera that was on it when it collapsed. You know, and it's just like all the rest of these cheap tripods. These little plastic clips that, you know, that tighten up on the leg, you know, for different adjustments. Well, see, this pin is already broken. There's only one here. There's no lever here. This thing came apart. Yeah, this is where it actually came apart, and the leg flipped up in the air because this is attached to the bottom piece. That weird design. And the whole thing went bloop. So I bet this thing's about 15, I don't know, 20 years old maybe. It's kind of weird. It's got a crank right here, up and down, and it's kind of, you know, it's not a quick disconnector or anything. Other than the design of that leg, the way it's hooked together, it's, you know, now I just use it to hold things while I'm painting them. I wouldn't put a camera on there no more. No, thank you. Even though this is just a cheap action cam, you know, it works. That's all I need. The This isn't some kind of broadcast channel. Sponsors paying for everything, and you know, I got a huge garage or whatever. Yeah, because I got projects or something. Well, I don't. This is my project, and it's like, you know, if I had to get a garage and all that just to work on one car, that'd be kind of pointless, wouldn't it? Unless it was where I lived. I always wanted that too. I always wanted to live someplace where I have my own garage and do what I want, you know, just a regular car garage. That's all I need. Oh well. I'm just fine here though. I'm in a private parking lot where I live. It's okay with the owner. I'm not making a huge mess. I'm not blowing anything up, burning anything down. He knows I'm not some idiot, you know. Not all the way anyway. Okay, so got Rustoleum High Heat, 2,000 degrees, blah blah blah. I don't think my windshield's gonna get 2,000 degrees, but adhesion promoter built in, no peel promise and all that. Remember, this is what's between the windshield wipers and the windshield. Every time it goes blip 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 blip, and, you know, so another weird design. But if this was made out of ABS, it'd be way better. I mean, it would wear out after a while. You'd have to replace it, but ABS doesn't rust. Alrighty, so I got this ultra fine type 0, I think that says ultra fine type 0 Scotch Brite. I'm not sure what grade that. I don't know. It's really nice, man. So I'm just gonna rub it down quick, hit it with the invisible glass, wipe it off quick, and then put a few coats of this on. You let it dry, then I gotta hit it with a heat gun, and that makes it flow and cure all the way. That's one of the secrets about these high heat paints like this. You have to get it hot to make it flow and actually cure. If you don't, it's opaque. It could crack. You know, it has to heal. You know. All right. Now I'm just gonna do this dry and mix this up for a few minutes. Even though this is just clear, there is ingredients you want to mix up, you know. Yeah. So it's just the pad, and after I wash it, I'll put some gloves on. That way I'm not introducing oily hands to it, you know. I'm just lightly buffing it. Whenever you hear me say knock it down, this is what I mean, you know? Knock it down. I used to work at my friend's, I actually worked there, but I just kind of helped out a body shop. I was like a gopher, you know? It's part of my respiratory problem. I didn't even think to wear any kind of mask of any kind. Most of the time, anyway. Breathing in Bondo and shit. I never actually painted it, you know, cars. I wasn't like that. But, like, you know, sand this down till it looks like this, blah, 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 blah. Anybody watch Pisser's channel over there, Hack and Pack? He was a guy like that, but he was like Hispanic, maybe from like Ecuador, maybe. And I was just a kid, you know, and I learned, you know, a few things from him, but I wasn't there to learn. I was there to, I was there to make money. He come right out and tell you, you know, ask too many questions. It's like, well, you go to school, you know. But the best thing is just to watch him, you know, and not being racist or anything, but man, he was so beautiful. He was like an artist. He could take a junkyard car and just make it look beautiful. He's just working with, you know, I mean, this is 41 years ago. Yeah. Imagine what was in the body shop business 41 years ago. For like a private business, you know. And he wasn't no, like, you know, big body shop, none of that. Okay. Now we're gonna flood this down. And that helps to cool it too. And it floats off all the particles and contaminants. It's just these food service gloves. I only happen to have a handful in my pocket, huh? That's what's nice too, they collapse up into nothing, you know. You might think it's a food wrapper. Yeah, they got these really, really cheap on Amazon. You get a bag of like 500 for a couple bucks. I use them for everything, I mean, you know, around the house, woodworking, like stains and, you know, things like that. You're not going to wash out of your hand with anything. Just make sure you don't get it on your hand. Picnics, any kind of catering, I don't know, handling, whatever. So we're going to put this in, do my jibber jabbing, and it's warm out here, okay? I just washed this the other night. Okay. And I want to hit these edges too. Make, you know, so I'm putting a couple coats of this on. It's clear and it turns into concrete. And I looked it up a few places online. According to Rustoleum, it is a little bit flexible after it's cured. So that's no problem. Okay. Biden's economy tool pouch. How's it? I don't talk about politics. On my car videos, anyway. If you want to know my opinion on all of that, all you gotta do is look me up on Twitter. It's the only place you can open up your mouth nowadays. supposedly. So this is going to be a pain to here we go. Holy crap. Holy moly. So I have it facing away. Hit the wrong button there. Of course, there's got to be a little nib in this. Get the hell out of it. Do it now while it's wet. What? What? I'm actually making it drip off of the corners. Load them right up till it drips off. Hold on, I'll grab the camera, point it at what I'm talking about. These ridiculous corners that go up by the door jamb. You can imagine the door jamb's right about here, you know? And it's like, look at that corner right there, you know? I mean, come on. The paint begins coming off if you look at it the wrong way. You know? Well, when you do something like that, just let it, you're not going to notice. It's clear, number one. Number two, it's under the hood, basically. But I want that protected. So, let's see here. Preparation. Okay, yeah, cleaning. And apply 2 or more light coats, a few minutes apart, slightly overlapping, blah, blah, blah. Dry to the touch in 30 minutes, handle in 1 to 2 hours, allow more time for cooler temperatures. May recoat anytime after 1 hour. Once dry, high heat must be used to further cured? Yeah, okay. To increase durability. Allow paint to dry 1 to 2 hours before processing to the next steps below. Follow directions accordingly. Okay. And it says items off vehicle, bake at 250 degrees, half an hour, and then let it cool for half an hour, and then bake it at 400 for half an hour, and then allow 30 minutes to cool, and then bake it at 600 for 30 minutes and allow it to cool. Yeah, well, I'm not going to do all that right here. I just got a heat gun, and I'll be doing it out here later when it's all dry. You can even do it at night. You can watch the heat gun. It's just like a high-powered heat hair dryer, basically. It'll help it flow. I like this. It only says just wait a few minutes and then coat it again. Okay, well we'll wait a few minutes and coat it again. I like to get at least 2 coats. Yeah, I got nice new screws to put in. I got the plastic button kind for the ends. It only had one for years, and then that one just broke. I don't know, like a year ago maybe. The other one was gone when I bought the car, so who knows why people take things like that off, or they just come off, or, you know, a really weird thing about this Riata, when I first bought it, I'm the third owner, okay? A guy in Rancho Cucamonga, California, bought it brand new. He was 70 around years old. He just retired, and he bought this car, and it was, you know, $28,000 when it was, you know, new in '89, and he drove it until he died. Never did anything to it, just drove it until he died. I'm not sure how long that was, but then the daughter took it and drove it until it began needing repairs that nobody could do. That was, cost money to work on a car like this, and they put it up for auction with like the kidneys for cars, or cars for kidneys, whatever kind of, you know what I mean, one of them things. And it was at two different lots where the charity, you know, was keeping their cars, and nobody had bought it. It just sat there, and they were going to junk it. And yeah, this is on my first video on my channel about this, but like a little, you know, back story kind of thing. And it was going to the junkyard, and I said, no. And I went down there, and my friend and I, he drove down there, and I rented a U-Haul trailer in Hartford, and the place where the car was right outside Hartford, Connecticut. And went and got the car and put it up on the trailer, boxed the parts in the trunk, said, okay, good luck, yep, bye, and drove back here to where I live. And that was in 2011. There's that basset hound. People say, oh yeah, you got to put it on lightly and blah blah blah. No, this is not like regular paint. This is basically a bacon coating. I mean, this is not paint. It resists up to 2,000 degrees. Gas and oil resistant. It even tells you have to bake it. I mean, this is not paint. You see it dripping off of where it collects? Good, let it. You actually encourage it to drip, and you go like that. That way it clings to itself and goes boop, and then goes down to that corner and drips. If you see it run, just hit it again. Reliquify the run, and it irons it right out. Now this is the underneath part. I was talking to a buddy of mine online about that clear coating that's on the underneath of this, and how come it wasn't rusty, you know? And he said it could be anodized. They might have anodized all of the, because the bumpers on this car are also anodized. They're aluminum. He said, you know, it very, very easily could be anodized, and then they would dip it, like they, if you watch the video on how Riatas are made, you know, the whole car was dipped in electrostatic paint. Well, they probably did the trim that way too, and the bumpers, they're not painted. It's just anodized aluminum. And there's not, and the only trim really is this piece right here. We don't really have any other kind of trim on this car. Which I'm thankful for. My 71 Nova, all that ridiculous trim, it was so ridiculous. It's like you got to dedicate your life to it. No, thanks. My friend Pete, if you had seen that Nova, you would have cried. I mean, like in disrepair when I found it. A couple kids owned it, a couple 16-year-old kids owned it, and they just took like a handful of Bondo and threw it here and there and scraped it. It looked like a comb. Just raked it, big marks on it. I was like, and then they rattle canned it with this kind of purple dune buggy metal flake. So I gave them $400 in cash. This was in let's see, 84. Wow. The paint dry channel. Actually, it's not paint, remember? Oh. Okay, I'm going to leave it right here. Piece of tape right here. And I just loop around here one time and then put it back there. And it just keeps it from rolling anywhere, and then this end hits the handle. So it's not going to go anywhere. And it's not facing the sun. And not my best work, but it'll do. Next we'll be hitting it with the heat gun. Okay, this is after 2 coats of the 2000 degree ceramic, and I'm using using a regular heat gun, a Harbor Freight heat gun. When you look at the temperature now, well, it's like room temperature. Right at it there. Yeah. 73 degrees. And it's very, very humid out here. This is under my patio, not near the car. Just in case it begins raining or something. It is overcast. Nozzle temperature. Uh, 500 and whatever degrees. Yeah. I'm going to put it on low just to not, heat it up too much all at once. And just get it nice and even. Yeah, you can always tell when this begins to cure if it gives off a hot plastic odor. And it also goes from a little dull to really, really glossy when it begins curing. I didn't want it glossy earlier because nothing will stick to glossy. So those ultrafine 3M, the purple pads, that roughen it up perfectly without messing up the paint. I'm not going to bring this whole thing up to hundreds of degrees. That's not my intentions. I just want to take the tackiness out of it. Get that initial hardness, It's going to be a few more days before this goes back on. Maybe 1 or 2 days. I don't want to wait too much longer. I got a lot more to do on this car than just under the hood. Got some engine work to do. That'll be after when I'm done with a few things here. I'm going to brace the engine. I got one of those 3-point OTC engine braces for front-wheel drive cars. When I changed the transmission last time, I kind of used a homemade device mixed with an old Harbor Freight bar, and it worked, but I don't want to do that again. So I bought a real 3-point engine brace. And it's just meant to just hold the powertrain. You don't take out the dog bone or the motor mounts on the engine. You take the motor mounts off of the subframe. And that's what it's for. And because I already had that apart before, the bolts and bushings and everything are all new. That should come apart real easy. I take the subframe apart. I'll take it off the car. That won't come apart again because I Loctited everything together, the 2 halves of it. But I'll take it off the car, and I have a new oil pan. connecting rod bearings and crankshaft bearings. And timing chain, sprockets, magnet, cam thrust button, oil pump. You know, the whole works. All the gaskets, I got all that. So when I'm under the car though, I'll just do the oil pan and the bearings, and then put a tarp around the engine. And I got the equipment to blast and brush and whatever else, the undercarriage and the subframe, and new suspension in the rear, new suspension in the front, and all the bushings and all, everything needed. Not bushings. Stabilizer bar links, control arm bushings, got those. Stabilizer bar bushings. Complete struts in the front and rear. The brakes are already new, they just need cleaned up. I just put all those on before I went in the hospital in 2019. So if anything, you just need a little wire brush. I got the paint to do the calipers anyway. But I haven't even driven on those brakes. Put them in and never drove it. Parked it there and that was it. So it's all new. Rubber hoses are all new. Nickel copper lines where it needed them. I'm going to have to go over the whole system again though. Okay, what are we up to here? We are at 140 degrees. Okay, we got a little more to go. It's going to work from left to right. Almost like welding. Even though this is 2,000 degrees, you don't want to bubble it or warp the metal. And it goes boing! You don't need to. Ooh. Or break a zip tie, yeah. Well, that's new. I never saw a zip tie break like that. That's weird. Well, good thing I'm a real man. I got zip ties in my pocket. Look at that. Yeah, well, weird. Alrighty. Yeah, well, I guess the heat gun grabbed it. These are really, really tiny. I got a bag of 1,000. They're like $5 a few years ago. You're never going to use 1,000 zip ties. Be surprised though how many you use for hanging things up and holding on to things and tying up cords, you know, little cords for, like, you know, whatever. And make sure around the holes. I wonder what's going on with the electricity in this place. Hear how the heat gun's oscillating? That's weird. Yeah, maybe it's the heat gun. Okay, what does this even get the metal up to? 180. If I hold it right, oh no, now we're at 280. If I hold it, yeah, that's why the zip tie melted. If I hold it right on it, it gets it up to 280. Which is nothing. I mean, they want, you know, hundreds and hundreds of I don't have 600 degrees, sorry. I'm not getting out the, now like with headers and stuff, you can either run the engine for a little while or use a propane torch. Just lightly cure it before, you know. If you just paint it and then crank it over, it's going to smoke like crazy and smell terrible. You got to initially let it gas off and then hit it with propane. At least get it hot, you know. Then go drive it around. It's always going to smell though, like for like a week after you do any kind of engine work. This is the edge that the wipers hit against. The curled over edge. Watching the Coding Flow channel. And it's the poor man's powder coating. Really, really poor. Okay, this is about this. Yeah, it's like 130, 140. Yeah, the whole thing's about 130, 125, 130. So, and it was out in the afternoon sun, so it's pretty flowed, enough for my needs. So let it sit overnight, and this goes in tomorrow. I take off the fuel rail and one of the engine brackets. Those have to be cleaned up and recoated. I really want to get the fuel rail done because it's bare metal with just a clear bullshit coating that I tried and it didn't hold up very long. I don't want it to begin rusting, you know. I could buy a whole new fuel rail on eBay. I just don't want to blow the money on it. It's not necessary. Nothing wrong with mine yet. I'm going to flow this for a couple more minutes. I'm having fun. Trying to avoid the zip tie now. I only got one left in my pocket. Yeah, I bought that bag of 1,000, and I've had it for a few years now. I probably used maybe 100 at the most. I like it because they're tiny. They're really good for, you know, you can hang up just about anything with them. And if it's not long enough, just put two together. Or 3, 4, whatever. They are kind of tough, but not really, you know. In a pinch, you could break it with your hand, I mean. Alrighty, that's it for this trim video until I put it on the car. I just have my porch light on out here, but you can tell it's, when that cools down, but that's going to be like armor plating. Very, very nice. That's exactly what I want. Alrighty, till then, bye.
Hasta la vista.